Lithos. Siftel.
I'm Ligeia. Hail Satan.
And I'm Bohema. Hail Satan.
I'm Kylar. HellFire.
Hello, my is great.
Hello and welcome again to GOS podcast from the Global Order of Satan. And as you might have gathered from the start, this one's about David Lynch, life and works. And with me today, I have Gray from Steel City Satanists.
Hello, my name's Gray, and hail Kyle McLaughlin.
Oh, very good. And I have Kylar.
Hello, hi, hailing from London. How you all doing?
We have Bohema.
Hello, hail Satan.
And Ligeia.
Hello, hail Satan. Also from London.
Now, we have, this time we do not have with us one of our regular participants who you'll have heard on just about every podcast, I think. And that's Larage, who has left the order. He will be missed. Hail Larage, if you're still listening. And what we would like to do with this episode is to have a bit of a kind of look, as much as we can within the hour, have a look into the works of David Lynch. And so I'll just do a round table and start and tell me how you came about David Lynch and, you know, what particularly struck you. If we start with Gray, because I know you have an avid interest in his work.
Interesting fact, my father in the 90s owned a video rental store, and I had free reign of anything I wanted, and I was always immediately drawn to the album art, the box covers of horror films. So I immediately got connected with Eraserhead because I had no idea what the hell was going on with that guy's hair, and I fell in love with it, and then immediately just consumed all David Lynch, and like to an obsessive degree.
Yeah, I'd just like to start there going, fuck me if my father had owned a fucking DVD or video store. It would have been VHS when I was young because I'm old as fuck.
It was still VHS for me.
Yeah.
I think I have like some, I might have some David Lynch laser discs even still around. So I just look youthful. I'm old.
I definitely would also have raided the horror section and probably the porn section as well until I got caught. Kylar, next, what would you like to tell us about how you came back David Lynch?
I say my favorite David Lynch work is definitely voice acting role in the Cleveland show. No, I'm joking. David Lynch is is quite an interesting director. Myself, I have not consumed as much as his movies as many different directors, but I do have a soft spot. I think my favorite movie of his would be Dune. While I did watch the original cut, the fan cut with deleted scenes and stuff like that is probably still one of my favorite adaptations of the source material. It has such great panache. But how I came across it would be, I think he was doing film school, like university, and they had us watch Blue Velvet, which great, fantastic movie, strange as fuck, but it's a great movie. And you know, I haven't watched all of its movies, but I did watch, you know, the greats like Eraserhead, and I did watch some of Twin Peaks. I still have to finish it. This is one of those. Yeah, I know. Actually, funny enough, the other day I was in the office and I remembered that I was waiting to watch the ending with my ex, since we're not together anymore. basically, like, out of the blue, I look at my colleague and I go like, oh shit, I can actually finish Twin Peaks now. And then you go like, okay. No, you don't understand. It's important. So yeah.
Fantastic. We should point out that there was Gray showing off his Twin Peaks Firewalk with Me t-shirt at one point.
I have a lot of Twin Peaks stuff around me.
Yes. Oh, we're going to get onto that. Boy, are we going to get onto that. Yeah, I'd have to say Dune kind of... Do you know what? I really like David Lynch's Dune, and I read the books first. But unlike a lot of people who read the books, I actually liked it. And I like it a lot more than the new ones with Timothée Chalamet, because although they are closer to the book by far, Lynch's just vision of what fuckery to do with it made it an amazing movie. Just visually great. Yeah.
Also, Toto doing the soundtrack really helped, I think.
Yeah. So, Ligeia.
Well, I feel a little bit weird in this group of experts. But like, yeah, I have learned about David and his work, I would say only like 4 years ago. Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me. Because I'm following one YouTube channel that goes and does like analysis of horror movies. So we used to, I'm a little out of it now. Don't have that time. But there was an analysis of The Lost Highway. So I watched that movie and followed, like next week we had, together like a little live stream, whatever. And after that, I kept that name in my mind because that movie, again, was weird as fuck. But I didn't know it's one of the more normal movies. Because now, yesterday I watched Eraserhead, and today I watched the Blue Velvet. So I think, yes. What I will say is, I don't follow everything that somebody like suggests, but because this name is connected to surreal, I'm hooked because I love everything. I love that shit. I'm an artist. I love everything that's out of this world, that is confusing, that you can read in like 55 possible ways, maybe more. And Eraserhead's hair? Yes, please! I was like, yes. I need to see more. So I am excited to learn from you today. That's what I'm going to say. I'm excited.
Fantastic. And Bohema?
Well, I may or may not only know the name and not know anything else, so I'm kind of here as just, I don't know, another person to learn, because I have no idea. But yeah, I'm excited to learn. I've heard the name before, but that's about it. I can assume sort of the general direction of what sort of content you might have produced, but yeah, nothing
I would
concrete.
just, if I can add, like, you are just 19, Bohema, so you are
Yes.
hooked on memes, and I have seen so many memes with just a picture of something, liminal, whatever, and then directed by David Lynch. So if you see that, you might start to understand why that's like funny.
Yeah, okay.
Have you guys seen anything like that?
No.
You mean like
no, I
liminal
haven't.
spaces,
But
like
what
the
I'd
backgrounds
say-
and stuff?
Yes, but like any kind of little bit spooky picture you take and you just put over that, like directed by David Lynch, it starts to make sense. Like, yeah, that could be. I will have to look for some examples, but yeah, if you search it, you will understand what I mean.
I would say yes. As to Bohema, you saying it's fine. you just want to find out about it and ask questions, because you haven't seen any stuff. But what type of stuff? It goes under the category of weird as fuck, and no one can quite agree what it's about. There's a lot of people spending a lot of time trying to explain it in detail, and David Lynch deliberately never told a single fucker what any of it was about. He was like, no, you figure it out. I made the movie. You figure out what this is about, kind of thing.
Yeah, that is very up my alley. I do like sort of very not... I don't know how to describe it, but stuff that isn't... Like, that means different things to different people. So, like, depending on your experiences, depending on how your brain works, whatever, you look at the thing, and it makes different sense to you than it might to the next person. That kind of stuff I do love. So, yeah
I mean,
definitely seems interesting already.
I mean, Gray, what would you say? Would you agree with that sort of general interpretation of his work?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of what David Lynch tried to do was to make things surreal, or just like, for example, Eraserhead. It was, if you watch it, it's confusing. It should, because if you watch it, go back and then watch it again like you're dreaming, as if it's just a horror film set in a nightmare, then it makes sense. And a lot of what he did was just things to a further degree. Like Blue Velvet was just America, except like on the surface. So all these horrible things are happening. So you could watch it and have no fucking idea what anything is going on. But if you look at it from like an angle of just cynicism almost about the American dream, then it makes sense. But he was very prolific and being like, if you would ask him, like, what's Twin Peaks about? He would just lean into you and say, I'm not going to tell you. And then he would leave. So it has always been just bizarre.
Yeah, I remember seeing an interview where he said at one point, the Eraserhead is the most spiritual movie I've made. And the interviewer looks really interested and goes, oh, tell me more. And he goes, no. And that was his thing, It's like,
it became
and he
a
has
meme.
a wry smile on his face all the way he's saying that. He's just fucking pissing about.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing, and he did it in his very David Lynch way, in his little voice. He would be like, "Oh no."
Yeah,
and that was it.
His voice is. I mean, when you said it, Lithos, and if anybody can, like, if you guys can Google that little piece of interview, I mean, the way he says it is so absolutely adorable that you can't even get angry. I don't know. He was something else.
That's some of the appeal too.
Yeah.
It's just because you make it your own. I could sit here and talk about Twin Peaks for 5 hours and what I think it means, and then someone will come in and just be like, "No, you're wrong. No."
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean anybody's wrong, because he purposely made things so that you could put yourself into it and then make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the greatest part about films in general, really, is when they have multiple interpretations about something. Like what are you getting out of the movie? Which is why I'm interested always in asking, when I meet a new person, asking, what their favorite movie is. So and ask them why. Why do you think? Why is that your favorite movie? Just to know, to get the different interpretation of, maybe they got like a different view of a movie that I watched and rewatched, and stuff like that. Also, since we were talking about Twin Peaks, I'm just gonna very briefly, I'm not gonna I'm thinking, when I think Twin Peaks, the scene that comes to mind is always minor spoiler, by the way, because some people might, when there is Laura's father dancing on his own in the dance floor, which reminds me of this little snippet from an essay from an Italian a writer called Pirandello. Basically, in this essay, it basically says about like this old lady dressed as a young lady. It was misogynistic. It was a different times. Don't. But essentially, the essay is called L'umorismo, which is translated to roughly the humor. Essentially, it says like, you laugh at the old lady dressed in young woman's clothes because you'd be like, well, you know, she's an old lady dressing old, so you laugh at her. But when you learn the truth about it, which is that she dressed like that because her husband left her for a younger woman, like that's when you understand what's behind it, and then you don't laugh anymore. Which is, I think, pretty much sums up like a lot of Twin Peaks in a way, at least in my opinion. Which I think it's great because Twin Peaks especially is weird, is it's overacted, is purposefully being misleading and campy, but at the same time it's very serious when treats about like very serious subject matter. I don't know if it makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling.
No, I think it's quite right. And Twin Peaks is almost like it's a thing where someone goes to David Lynch. What would you do if we said make a soap opera? And Gray, you've mentioned this already, you know, and it's like, yes, what it needs is shitloads of different characters because it's got to keep going. It's a soap opera. It needs subplots. But what I'm going to do is none of it's going to make any fucking sense. The subplots diverge, people turn up and then they disappear, and you are going to be arguing about this shit for fucking centuries, and I'm never going to tell you what it's about, kind of thing. Plus, it's just fucking great. It was really good fun.
Peak television, you know?
Actually, while on the subject of that, I have, apparently, I just found out right before we started recording, it is the Secret History of Twin Peaks. This came out when the third season came out in 2017. Apparently, this is out of print, and like in the UK, goes for £150. Didn't know that. I don't even want to open it anymore, now that I know that it's so expensive and hard to find. It was written by Mark Frost, who David Lynch and Mark Frost are the two that wrote Twin Peaks. And in here, it was like a collection of stories of the people around town, and just extra context for everything that happened. So I would say track one of these down if you're interested in Twin Peaks, because then you can learn like what was, how did Ben make his money? What, like, Jacoby, how did he get into psychiatry, stuff like that, and like just all the ins and outs.
I mean, but, I would say that would be an interesting buy, but since we live in the UK, that would be £150 over my budget, I believe. So,
yeah, no, it's a bit much. But if I remember correctly, David Lynch tried to make 2 films in a row, and both times something went wrong. Like one of them, I think the studio ended up canceling the project, and the other one, like the funding got pulled, and then it fell back to Mark Frost being like, let's just make a TV show. And David Lynch did not want to do that at all. And Mark Frost talked him into it by being like, just make it weird. We'll just make a weird thing. It's like, what's popular right now? Soap operas. All right, let's make a soap opera and make it what you want. And half of it ended up being like just this surreal thing that all was happenstance. Like Bob came about because I think he was either the set designer or like the hairstylist. I cannot remember the actor's name right now. But he was standing, and when they were filming, before like they actually started shooting, David saw him in the mirror, in the reflection in the shot, and was just overcome by the way he looked. And it was like, he just like, it didn't even ask him. He's like, just go over there and hide behind the bed and look scary. And that's how Bob happened. So a lot of it just was happenstance that Twin Peaks even came to exist. It was just failure, and then happens.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
David Lynch is no stranger to failure, considering how Dune was incredibly, like, mangled by producers and studios and stuff like that.
And ended up losing a lot of money as well, I think.
I think that that's like that. Yeah, I mean, after like that, a movie that was clearly unfinished came out, like, that's fair. Like, losing money at the box office is not really something that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that he probably was. I remember reading, like, he was heartbroken about it. Like, obviously. But, like, that's probably... This is... I think it's his first adaptation. The last and first adaptation, right? I don't think he adapted anything else after that.
No, he didn't. He did a couple of sort of versions of true life stories. The obvious one being Elephant Man, and the Straight Story. I think they were all both based on true stories. Were they not? Am I wrong? I think the Straight Story, there was actually a guy who drove across the States in his lawnmower to see his dying brother, which is also his straightest film. It's, everything else is bizarre. And yes, it's interesting hearing about the happenstance that he just happened to see this guy and go, oh, you look fucking scary. Stand over there and look scary. And then, not knowing, well, probably, yes, knowing well that people will be wondering and looking for the symbolism in it. And I think in addition to him putting plenty of symbolism in stuff, he also deliberately put things in that he just found looked good or were amusing to him. Just so that, and also so that people could argue about what the deep meaning was when it might have just been, oh, that would be quite a fun thing to do. I mean, feel free to disagree. That's just my personal take.
I think him as a person, from what I've seen in interviews and stuff he's done outside of his movies, he seemed like he's always, like he doesn't take himself too seriously. Or at least he has kind of, how do I say this? He knows, like, he's very tongue-in-cheek with his stuff. Again, I mentioned it earlier, like, he wouldn't have been like a regular in a Seth MacFarlane show if he wasn't, like, very tongue-in-cheek about, like, himself and what he did. Or when he did the PS3 commercial and he purposefully made it so confusing. That was supposed to sell consoles, by the way. It did, apparently, but it's besides the point. So, like, I always, like, for what I've seen, he's always been very, like, a weird little goblin man that goes around, makes very strange movies that keep you awake at night. Obviously said in the most loving way possible.
I mean, yeah, there's... weird. I'm sort of thinking, the weird role he's also played in Twin Peaks as the deaf FBI agent who shouts at everyone and mishears what people say, and that's a comedy character. He's literally just put himself in there as a joke character. It's kind of there is plenty of comedy, and there's also, I think, I've watched some of his things and gone, should I laugh at this? Or is this a really serious, deep, especially in Eraserhead, looking at it and going, fucking hell, am I supposed to laugh at the woman in the radiator, or is there something really deep and meaningful behind it? And it's like, well, maybe it's a bit of both as well. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Always taking deep things, and then, like, it's even serious things, because it could be argued that the woman singing from the radiator was like the personification of the desire to die, to escape. And you watch it and you do want to laugh, or you're uncomfortable. It's just bizarre. So he tried to take like heavy material and then in its own way reverse it and like confuse you. Because Twin Peaks, even the whole story, it's a story of a high schooler that got murdered brutally, and then here comes the next scene over. Here comes Special Agent Dale Cooper talking to maybe a tape recorder that he named Diane. Thank you for ruining that whenever you made the third season and actually making that a real person. But like, here comes this goofy guy that's obsessed with trees and snowshoe rabbits, and it just wants to have some damn fine coffee and cherry pie, excuse me. It's the American in me pulling out. But yeah, he tried to take like just these horrendous things and then mix the emotions around to make you feel more uneasy, but at the same time, like, laugh, because he knew what he was doing and he was a goofy guy.
I mean, look at the what was the psychiatrist character? That
Dr.
guy,
Jacoby, yeah.
Dr. Jacoby, yeah, like that guy was, it was constantly, I think, high or something, and he played it as that. I like to think that Twin Peaks was like, you had to laugh at everything except the Laura Palmer's parts.
Yeah.
Like, everything else was, and I think that's kind of part of the joke in on itself, like, that the comedy comes to like a screeching halt the moment that the reality of the brutality of the crime is brought onto the scene. I don't know. Again, it's David Lynch. That's what I think anyway. So,
especially whenever you watch the Return, the third season, you get something like Dr. Jacoby, who's literally standing in a pile of mud or shit. He keeps calling it shit. And he has a spray-painted gold shovel that he wants to sell you. And there's Nadine with her one eye just watching, smiling, being like, I'm into this. I agree. And that's just it. That doesn't go anywhere. There's multiple scenes where it just keeps coming back to him spray painting or building like Pee Wee Herman machines to spray paint as many shovels as possible. Has no payoff. Has no point.
About the shovels.
Exactly.
And the shit. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
dig yourself out of the shit.
I'm thinking,
and then they have it up in a window. Why? Don't know.
Is the third
Doesn't
season
matter.
any good?
I love it.
Except for that part you mentioned. Yeah.
No, that's probably one of the better parts. The Return gets significant hate.
No. I mean the Diane thing.
Oh. Okay. So there was this very long, like, fandom joke that every time you see Dale Cooper because he's talking to his secretary, Diane, but he does it holding his tape recorder.
Yeah.
And it was just for 30 years a joke that's like, he doesn't actually have a secretary. He just named his tape recorder Diane, and he would talk to it. And then there actually was a Diane because she shows up in the show. So it's not a problem. It doesn't ruin anything. It just takes like a really funny joke for 30 years and then takes it away.
If you think about it, that's probably why he did it in the first place.
Probably. I'm sure he was very aware of all of it. Like,
it would be like, all the fans are joking about this. I want to ruin their fun just for shits and giggles.
Absolutely.
It is also, I absolutely loved it. And it's way weirder and more Lynch than the original Twin Peaks. It just, it will have you sitting there in wonderment. And one thing that was really remarkable was watching it when I watched it, reminded of the slow pacing of his stuff. Really slow pacing. And you're kind of so not used to watching that now because everyone fucking goes, no, we've got to have fucking loads of action storylines, quick pacing, it's what kind of sells, and that slow pacing. And also the thing I've always thought from the start that sets him apart is the sound, just the actual, not just the music, the background sounds, the whole sound design is so meticulous and is so much part of the movie. You would not want to watch it on shitty little speakers.
While I don't agree with fast pacing can work in depending on what kind of story they're talking. I don't agree that like every movie nowadays it's fast pacing. I do agree that Lynch's pacing is usually slow by design, mostly because depends of course on the movie itself, but I think it's also kind of like part of the appeal of certain. For example, in Eraserhead, the slow pacing kind of sells the idea of the nightmare as well, because it goes to like a sluggish pace. Well, if I remember correctly, I haven't seen Blue Velvet in last time I was in university, which was many moons ago, but I think if I remember correctly, Blue Velvet has a slow pacing at the start, then towards like the middle point it kind of goes like ta, 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 ta. It starts going very fast, I think, to kind of sells the frenetic third act as well in a certain extent. Again, might be wrong, but that's how I remember it anyway.
Real quick, just
yes,
you're fine. I'm coming to your defense because whenever he said about it being slow, like he's not joking. Like there was, so a little context. I used to work at like 5 a.m. so I had to be up at 4, and I would watch in real time because they would air it, The Return, at like 10 p.m. and it was an hour. So I would watch till 11. So I would sacrifice sleeping basically an entire night to watch each new episode. And there was, not even talking about episode 8, which was just an hour of a nuclear bomb going off. Every single episode ended at the Roadhouse, where David Lynch would find a band that he liked with a song that he liked, and for a couple of minutes they would play the song. It would just cut away from whatever was happening. Here's a band I like. Here's a song that they're playing. End credits. There was an episode that had them play and then leave, and then 15 minutes of watching the bartender cleaning cups and a guy sweeping the floor. And that was it. 15 minutes of just slow. And you couldn't be mad because you just sit there in awe. So whenever Lithos says slow, he literally means slow.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't mean to imply that all movies were like really fast paced. I'm kind of talking more about what would go as a series. You know, they are generally fairly quickly paced, and they try and keep it tight, and they remind everyone at the beginning of each episode previously on, you know. And so compared to your average series on whatever, on Netflix or wherever, the third Twin Peaks is really, really slow. And if that had come out of the blue and gone on to Netflix, people would have watched one episode and gone, fuck this shit, I'm watching something else. That's what I'm kind of getting at. It literally, and I don't know if anyone would have watched series 3 just having come across it and go, oh, I wonder what this is, I'll watch it. It's like it was all people who'd seen the first 2 and went, right, here's the third one then.
People
it's
that
nothing
saw
like
the
watching
first 2. And the people that being forced to watch the third season with the people that watched the first 2.
Oh yeah, they're kids.
That was me for a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's something, there was, I think, 18 episodes, so you have 17 hours of watching Kyle MacLachlan as Dougie Jones just kind of walking into scenes And without giving spoilers, it's like he's standing there. He has no lines. He's just dead looking forward, and things are just happening around him. And like people just think that he's like an actual genius, and he's just standing there and he just wants coffee. And that's just it.
It is,
sounds like
yeah,
the funniest show of
basically
all time.
for
It's incredible.
Yeah, for the people that have not watched Twin Peaks, Dale Cooper is the FBI agent who investigates the crime, and at the end of the second season, he gets trapped in the Black Lodge, doesn't he? He gets trapped, and then it ends, and the beginning of season 3, some really weird shit happens, and then he ends up coming out of an electrical socket in someone's house, and he wakes up as someone else who was a doppelganger of him, and he has no memory of anything. I think that's as
simply as you can make it sound.
Yes.
Wasn't that the plot of Quantum Leap?
Yes.
Sort of.
Except Dale Cooper wakes up as Dougie and doesn't remember anything, and doesn't remember who Dougie is, who's a middle-aged balding businessman or something like that. and he wakes up, the agent wakes up as him and acts like a complete fucking idiot who does not remember anything, does not know anything, and smiles benignly at people. And this is Carl McLachlan, and he does this for
He's
how
incredible.
many episodes is it? Most of them are
17 episodes. It's like the last one, like the last half an hour, he wakes back up.
He is an amazing actor. And I also think that David Lynch loves him because he looks like an absolute, he looks so, I don't know how to describe it.
There's
so
this
archetypally American, decent, upstanding citizen boy you take home to meet your parents kind of face. You know, he's kind
that's
of
why he was in Blue Velvet.
Yeah. And
it was the baby face.
Yeah, exactly. And he just looks, so all American. In the sort of inverted commas sense, in the way American blokes are portrayed in standard in movies, and he does the weirdest roles, and David Lynch was playing with that. I think he loved the fact that he looked like the straightest of straight and upstanding men, and just went, right, I'm going to get you to do some really weird roles here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to be fair, he's a very weird guy himself. Like, also the roles he get after like doing Lynch stuff is also like very, very strange. What was his character? I think it was How I Met Your Mother. He was a very strange character in that show as well. Completely like.
He also has a very, very active TikTok of
really?
Just him being weird.
Oh yes, he does, doesn't he?
Yes. It's fantastic.
Wow.
To try and entice anybody that is listening, in under a minute, I'm going to try and explain what Lithos said. At the end of season 2, Dale Cooper gets trapped inside of the Black Lodge, and a doppelganger that becomes known as Mr. C, Mr. Cooper, is outside of it replacing him, and smashes his face into a mirror. You see Bob, so it's like the personification of Bob in reality, and then end. That's it. There out comes a movie that has nothing continuing that. Pissed off everybody. 30 years later, we see Kyle's just floating in just nothing. He doesn't know where he is. Everything's just loud electricity. And there's Mr. C, the doppelganger, has been outside in the world, just doing evil things because he's evil and that's what he wants to do. And there's this point where there can only be very Highlander. There can be only one. So with Dale Cooper getting out of the lodge, Mr. C, the doppelganger, has to get pulled back in. So he creates, Mr. C, the evil Cooper, creates a doppelganger, Dougie Jones, for a backup. So whenever Dale Cooper escapes, instead of Mr. C getting pulled back in, Dougie gets pulled back in. So he gets pulled, or Mr. C, they try to pull him back because there is this like weird good happening that they don't really explain. Like there's a good force. There's like the White Lodge, the Black Lodge, the Red Room. There's these, there's this good essence trying to pull the evil Cooper back into like darkness. And instead it pulls Dougie, and then it puts Cooper right where Dougie was. But because he left in a hurry, he doesn't have his memory back, and he needs to shock himself back awake. And you have 17 hours of that almost happening. There's like a moment where he's watching a movie. There's like something on a TV and they say Gordon Cole. Gordon Cole was the name of Lynch's character. And like there's a moment where like the camera zooms real close to his face and you hear normal Kyle MacLachlan say Gordon. And then he goes right back to being like completely out of it. So it teases you for almost 20 hours.
Cherry pie as well, I think. There was one bit where he had some cherry pie.
He keeps following it because he can smell the cherry pie. And anytime somebody needs him, they have like a cup of coffee and he just follows it. Like he just chases. So what happens is there's a doppelganger that was Dougie Jones who had a wife, a child, a life. And now Dale Cooper gets mistaken for Dougie Jones. And just shenanigans for 20 hours. That wasn't 2 minutes. I apologize. But it's great. You should watch it.
Oh my God. Okay. Where do I begin?
I didn't even talk about the creamed corn.
The cream. It just sounds like, here's the thing. When you describe it like this, it either sounds like the funniest shit you've ever seen in your life, or the worst TV show. Or the worst TV show.
It's exactly what he was going for.
I guess
he wants it to be so bad that it's good, and like it makes you you don't understand your emotions when you're watching it. You're like so frustrated, but at the same time, Dougie Jones is so sweet and cute and innocent, so you wouldn't be mad at the situation. Here am I got to be up in a couple hours. I'm watching an entire hour of just nuclear bomb footage, nothing else. Am I mad? Yes. But I experienced it, and I look back in hindsight thinking this is the greatest hour I ever spent in my entire life.
And I think a lot of it has to do, and again, I remember when I watched it, I was just sat there transfixed and watching largely, for large parts of it, nothing or not much happening on the screen. But there's also the sound, it does have an effect on you, the way he uses sound, and it helps keep you focused in on it. And he's not just in terms of really interesting and good choices. First time I came across Rammstein was in Lost Highway, was it? I think it was Lost Highway, where and that's how Rammstein got known by an awful lot of people, because he put them in a movie. And you're going, that is not what I'd have expected from David Lynch. He's not used music like that before, but then in Wild at Heart, he also went for sort of really aggressive music, and it all, the sound, all the music, everything fits in. And when he wants to make it kind of slow, he'll have something going on in the background that keeps you in. And when he wants to hit you with something, and when he hits you with something, like in Blue Velvet, where it's like all picture perfect American suburbia, and then a bit of violence happens, and it's, the violence when it happens is shocking because he's surrounded it with niceness and weirdness. And violence, when it appears because it appears as nothing but violence, if that makes sense.
It was supposed to like the juxtaposed, just here's the beautiful, idyllic American life, and here comes Frank huffing mystery gas, which was originally supposed to be helium, which I think missed point that they didn't keep it that, because that would have been just insanity. Somebody with a high-pitched voice committing these horrible things, cutting off people's ears.
I think it
But
would have
it-
been. It should have been. It should have been. It should have been.
I'm just trying to imagine him saying with a helium voice, Dennis Hopper saying, "Mommy, baby wants to fuck."
My baby wants to something like that.
Yes.
It would have been incredible.
I like to
Oh my
think it's
God.
copium, really, at this point.
I think, because you keep talking about sound, and I agree with you 100%. I think the best use of sound that David Lynch ever did was in Eraserhead, because they have, if you watch it again, there's the entire film, this weird hum that you don't normally notice. And like the first time I noticed it was when he was standing in the elevator waiting for the doors to close and nothing's happening and it's just quiet and it's just this weird hum. But there's scenes where like Jack Nance is walking, his character Henry, I think his name was, is walking and he steps in a puddle and you don't think about it. You just notice it and you don't hear it. You see it. You don't hear a splash. You don't hear him saying anything, but it's just this loud humming noise. And it just plays and it gives you that deeper feel of just, this is not real. This is a dream.
Yeah, the kind of like almost industrial background hum to life, to everything, and that bleakness in it, and that helped provide the bleakness. And I mean, it is documented that certain frequencies have certain effects on people, generally the lower ones. There is some bit of apocrypha about the stoner band Hawkwind having someone on electronic gear who was trying to find the brown note.
Oh.
And the brown note is supposed to be the frequency. If you hit it, it makes people shit themselves. So they were fiddling about with a little sort of like frequency generators on stage, trying to see if they could make people shit themselves because they were high. But I mean, I'm not accusing David Lynch of trying to find the brown note. Though if there was one, I'm sure he'd have found it.
I think either him, Weird Al, or Eric Andre would have at this point. One of the three would have done it.
I just wanted to say to that sound, the whole Eraserhead was really with the humming noise and a lot of steam. If you watch it again, the steam was almost everywhere, like the radiator. And the first maybe 15 minutes when he was walking home through that dilapidated industrial, I don't know, situation. Exactly, nothing was happening. He just kept walking. I was not like, where is he going? What is he? He went slowly. It was taking forever. But I couldn't even blink. I was like, okay, we're gonna see something. And then the elevator was taking forever. But it was so good. I'm like, you are such a tease. I don't want to blink.
Yeah.
And the steam and the hum. And also, I'm sorry, there was this little scene with the chickens when he visited the family.
The baby ones.
Oh my god, I couldn't. The noises. Oh my goodness. Oh, that was something else. Oh no. I would not want to, go back to that moment. That was really disgusting. There might be a better word for that. I can't really, disgusting. Yeah. But I will remember it. I will absolutely, I could feel it in my heels. I'm like, okay, this is a noise. Do you know what I mean? Which one?
I know what you mean. I'm terrible with noises as well. There's some noises that once I hear them, for an hour, I'm just like this.
Yes.
So I definitely know
Yeah. And also, maybe it's just like for people like me that are a little bit sensitive about like eating noises in general. Like there has to be some background music or something because I can't listen to that even myself. But like other people chewing next to me, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm finished with this food. But this was like extreme because those chickens, I don't know, maybe you can explain, but they said like man-made chickens and they were still alive and it was this splashing noise and like they were still bleeding and squeaking. I still don't know what I've seen. I have no idea. But this will stay with me forever.
Well, that is the thing about Eraserhead. It is like the movie that will engender 500 million discussions and none of them will agree.
Yeah.
It's and there is even the scene that kind of you go in Eraserhead where you think something does happen, like the one where his head drops off. That goes on for ages and ages and happens really slowly, and then it ends up on a pavement in a puddle somewhere, and someone takes it to the eraser factory, something like that, and that's where his name comes from. And you just go, okay, I don't understand the pencil reference.
No, but like there were pencils made at the end.
You know.
Like this was the climax. Like, okay, so now I absolutely don't know anything. Fuck off.
Because I thought
what.
Before I'd seen it, when I saw the movie poster, I thought he's called Eraserhead because his hairdo looks like a pencil eraser. Not the fact that his head would fall off and then be turned into a pencil eraser.
Yeah.
At some point later on.
What do you think about how they... No, this is a bad sentence. I was going to say, what do you think about how they made the baby? But not that what I mean. Like how they made the thing.
The effect.
That was a baby, yes. You don't have to describe how they made the baby, okay? I think we can
it does
leave
look
that.
When two parents love them
real.
each other very much.
You know, there have been discussions about how he's never actually said how they did it.
No.
Because it does, considering it's his first film, it was back in 1977, it looks remarkably real.
It is so well done.
You know, people have gone, has he used a rabbit carcass or something? You know, because it does, almost look like a skinned animal.
It does, but like, the eyes were moving. They made, like, it was actually moving there. Like, you can see it's, some effects, like something, but...
It's a real baby.
Maybe.
My babies look different. I don't know. Maybe in the 70s. I have to ask my sister. She's older, so maybe I will ask her, show me a picture.
So for anybody, for the audio listeners, Bohema, we're in cam right now, and Bohema just said hello when with a little hand just like waved.
That's it. All of Eraserhead is my favorite Lynch anything ever.
Yeah.
I have multiple Twin Peaks tattoos. I have Twin Peaks shit all over the place.
Show
I
us.
love Twin Peaks.
No, it's a podcast.
Well, no, I do. I got the Blue Rose and then like a Fire Walk with Me on my arm.
Ooh.
But Blue Rose. But the point. What's that?
I forgot. Continue.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was just saying, like, I have all these things, but nothing ever comes close to Eraserhead. I love it so much. And it just, every detail was purposefully done to make you question what you're watching. Like, between him walking through 1960s Soviet Russia to get home to a broken elevator that doesn't work, and then him just sitting there watching his face. You're paying attention to him and his goofy hair, but you're not paying attention to the not potted plant directly behind him, where it's just a pile of dirt and then like a dead tree sticking out of the back of it. It just, everything was done so purposefully strange and bizarre and then they put a baby in it.
Yeah.
At this point, it would have been
Perfectly
weird
normal
if they
baby.
didn't, honestly.
Yeah. True.
It did take years to make, didn't it?
Yes.
There was all kinds of problems.
6,
Yeah.
I think. Jack Nance bitched about it. Can I say that? I'm going to
Yes.
say it. Jack Nance bitched about it because he had to keep his hair like that for 6 years.
No.
Because they kept like coming back. They only had so much money, so it was like David would call him up and be like, "Listen, we're gonna do this scene. And
Are you
come
saying
help me
that
out."
was real? The hair was
That was his
real?
hair.
No.
They couldn't.
He
They
had to
couldn't
live with
afford.
that?
Yeah, for like 6 years.
I'm gonna say that I think that's pretty stupid. They could have just used CGI, honestly.
Exactly.
I don't see why they didn't at this point, honestly.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I want my hair like that.
But,
I would.
yeah,
You do?
I want that hair. I want that hair.
like the
To be fair-
actual piece of the actual air.
No, I want my hair to look like that.
Just have some hair, just like a
But
wig
also, yeah,
shaped
maybe.
like that, just sat on a shelf.
To
I
be
mean,
fair
Bohema, have you seen the hair?
I have no idea what we're talking
you'd
about.
be
But
surprised.
I think they should have had a hair double, personally. Just have a few people with the same hair. Just to play the roles, so they don't have to have the hair at all the same time.
Just like the shots of like, I think it would be very Lynchian to have like a shot that ends like that starts from here. Like you can only see the hair and above. I think it would be very, very, very from David, something that Lynch would have done. It's
Yeah.
a good thing nobody told him. That's all I'm saying. Otherwise, we would have seen the whole movie like that.
There is a
Yeah,
Bohema.
it's
I love that.
It's so funny.
that's
For the audio listeners, we're showing the
Picture of a
the
Razorhead,
picture of
yeah.
their head, the poster of a Razorhead,
Yeah.
which is just
I mean,
Jack Nance.
it's absolutely gorgeous because I will never forget that. And it's such a simple thing, like just hair. You know? Oh, I love that movie so much, I can't even explain. It was so silly in a way. But also, I know it's deep. But the silliness and the humor combined with the absolute horror and the message that probably was there. And I think what I read into that is the fear of becoming a parent. And it is overwhelming. I don't know how old Lynch was when his first child was born. Maybe they were too young. Not too young. That's not nice. You know what I mean? Young. Because that was judgmental, you know? If I say too young, it's like, who am I? No. But it can be overwhelming. I don't know. I should maybe ask my husband how he felt. But like, you know, if you're a guy who were not planning to be a father, and now you are just there and like, okay, this is your wife now, and this is your baby, and you're in the middle of your life that is functioning in a way that is yours, and now everything has to change, and you do try, but it was complicated as it is.
That's a very beautiful way of putting with movies like what it's about.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
about to
Like-
say, like, that's a very interesting way of seeing it. So,
This is not what you saw?
It's
Is it
well,
me?
I'm not a parent myself.
I'm
Right.
agreeing with you.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly. This is what I
It's
felt like.
It's the fear of an unwanted child, and then
marriage.
just
marriage,
yes,
yeah.
because he was also trapped, and her family was just as fun,
Ooh.
and just the temptation of ending oneself.
Yeah.
I don't want to like get into too much of that for just
Yeah, but exactly that's how I saw the radiator lady. Maybe the
Singing about heaven.
exaggerated. Yeah, and her face was so. For me, that was like really disturbing. But maybe it was done in a way like she was childlike, and she was constantly just quiet and smiling.
like
And
innocence.
Yes, and like the woman that is not giving you any problems, she's just there to be happy and to kill all your future kids. if you know what I mean, the scenes that was falling all over her head. Like
Oh,
she
yeah,
was
when
just
she was squishing
killing-
sperm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was him thinking, oh, my life would be so different if I could just have a woman that is, you know, submissive and still happy, and we wouldn't have any kids because she would be not willing to have kids. She would be the one taking care of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the neighbor, the lady, I think she was supposed to be the exact opposite, like this seductive, sexy lady. I don't know. That's how I read it. Like,
What
he
an
couldn't
incredible
really
movie.
choose what he
Yeah.
wants, but he didn't want what he was living. Tragic.
See, now this is what is so great about David Lynch is they arguably Eraserhead is the easiest movie to understand because like it's still bizarre, but in its outlandish storytelling, you can still figure out what it's about. And this is the one that we're going back and forth with the most because it does sit with you, but at the same time, like if you sit down and watch like Lost Highway or Blue Velvet, stuff like that, other than like Dune, because you can kind of figure out what that's about. There's a book, but you just to sit down and discuss the simplest movie is the one that we're going back and forth about, like differences or their thoughts and breaking it down.
You can go for hours, really.
Exactly.
And there are still moments that I guess nobody really understood, even in this movie. I know what you mean.
Oh, I think he
Yeah.
definitely put things in just to fuck with people.
Yeah.
Like again, why is there an unpotted plant behind him? I don't fucking know.
It's just a little detail, and it's still there. Or the
Yeah,
guy.
I mean,
Why
to make
does the
the
radiator
planet-
lady have
her
cheeks
face is
like
so
that?
poof.
Ooh, and it wasn't even smooth. It was just like, please don't show me this.
Yeah.
What's wrong with
two
your
giant
skincare?
sponges.
Come on.
Yes, it's not even cute hamster cheeks. It's like big wart cheeks kind of thing. Oof. Yeah. Every visually and in audio terms, that movie was disturbing on every front. And it's kind of the thing that, and it is years since I watched it. It's probably best part of a couple of decades, and I haven't seen it since because I'm not sure if I could watch that again. At some point I will, but even though it's been ages, I still vividly remember some scenes, and that's the thing about all of Lynch's output. It's all got in common. I don't remember. Don't ask me the story from beginning to end, because Gray, you're well ahead of me there in terms of remembering all the Twin Peaks details. You know, I don't
That's all
remember
up
any. If you ask me now, just tell me, give me a précis of the whole thing. I'd go, I don't fucking know. I do really remember some scenes. I do remember parts of some episodes vividly because they just stood out, and that's what I watch it for. It is the stuff that you have never seen before, you've not heard before, and you probably won't again in that way. It's totally and utterly in and of itself unique.
I think it would be very funny if you rewatch after all these years Eraserhead and you just hate it. It's like you finish the movie and you're like, I thought it was better. This fucking sucks.
What is this pretentious shit?
I remember why I liked it. I was 25 and I was off my head on drugs.
David Lynch, what terrible director. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Let's delete this episode.
I think I'd
To be
like
honest,
to do...
I don't think I might have survived watching that the first time on psychedelics. You know, that would have done my head in even worse.
I don't recommend watching any of Lynch work while high, honestly. I've never done it. I would never do it, but don't.
No.
I feel like it's gonna if you want to watch something while high, Wes Anderson is right there. Right?
Well, I was high just watching it.
How did,
Like,
how was
this
it?
is enough for me. No, I mean, Eraserhead. Like, I felt like I'm high or something. And I had to pause it because somebody was leaving, and like friends of the kids, and they were like, "So what are we watching?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." There is a lady in the radiator, and I'm like, "I have no idea." So, yeah.
Did you
High as
ever
a kite.
anyone? I had to look it up to remember what it was called. What did Jack do?
What do you mean?
Oh, was
That's a name. It's a
his
that
first
was
thing he did?
That was like the last thing he
What
did.
did Jack do?
best. What,
It's
really?
literally 20 minutes of him talking to a monkey on a train that he suspects committed murder.
100. I never heard it, but just the idea is 10 out of 10.
I love it.
I saw that. I think it was like only on Netflix or something because he was just like, I want to do something for them, and they offered him like $1 million, and he made a 20-minute short movie about a monkey. It's just him, a monkey, and it's just incredibly bizarre dialogue back and forth.
I need
That
to see
was
this.
if anything to watch high, it's that.
That's because
There
I'm
you go.
looking
It's
at
not even in. It's. I hated it when I first saw it. It's like
That's good.
I
love hating
I love it.
It is not anywhere in his Wikipedia entry.
If you want a good comprehensive like filmography of somebody, go to Letterboxd. They have, I think, they sometimes put stuff even like they remotely worked on, and that like it's great.
Hey, just right here.
Yes.
Film synopsis reads: in a locked-down train station, a homicide detective conducts an interview with a tormented monkey.
Yeah, I have it.
Hmm.
17 minutes.
Incredible.
It's on Netflix.
Oh, right. Well, I know I'm going to watch after this then.
Oh, my phone is nasty.
What did
Sorry.
Jack do, did you say?
Yeah.
What did Jack
Yeah.
do? It's on Netflix.
I wonder what he did. Yeah,
I wonder what
I
it is.
shall-
Maybe
I
he
shall
did.
watch
Maybe
that.
he didn't.
I remember nothing about it. I just remember the monkey, and I remember Lynch, and it was just back and forth for 20 minutes.
I love that if you go on Letterboxd again, like if you watch the 1-star reviews, which is something that I love to do sometimes when I watch a movie, just to see what people like that didn't like it think. Most of the reviews is just like what, and this is my favorite.
Exactly.
There was just maybe it's just not for me.
Yes. Exactly.
Personally, my favorite.
It's
I
so
know
perfect.
it's not related at all, and back to my usual brand of just making unrelated comments. I want to now write "This happened to my buddy Eric" on every single review, just for the fucking shit of it.
That Joker
That's fucking
review
great.
was like fucking.
Oh, my God.
One review is just like 3 dots. That's it.
You can
that's
read
normally-
whatever.
It's what I point to people. Be like, what's David Lynch like? Like, here you go.
3 dots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the review that went,
Ellipsis.
maybe it's not for me, is like literally a thing from David Lynch, because either it's not for you or you really like it. It's kind of like, you know, it's, you know, there are people who just go, no, what is that? It's
Yeah.
not. Oh
If
my
anything,
God.
I like to
that's-
think that David Lynch is the one that posted that review.
Yes,
That would be so
that
funny.
would be great.
That would be so funny.
I can see that.
That would be
I
so...
don't like it.
Yeah, I don't
This
like
isn't for me.
But I could see like usually, you know, directors do have imposter syndrome, but he just do it just because he wants to be funny, and I can
Yeah.
definitely see him do that.
Oh, he
Oh
was
my
such
God.
an interesting guy.
Apparently,
Yeah.
which is very funny. I found it very funny. He was very fond of my hometown in Italy, which is very strange. Like it was called Lucca, It is still called Lucca, the city, presumably.
You didn't nuke it when you left.
It was
I was going to say
was,
they renamed it as soon as you left.
The name is still there. The name is still there. Not like the Disney movies, Lucca with 2 C's, which is a very strange. Like it's a small town in Tuscany. It's close to Pisa. I'd say like a 20-minute ride from, and it's very small. There's no people except for like this one time a year. This one time a year, we have the second world's biggest Comic-Con, which is insane to me.
How did that happen? That is there.
It just did. It used to be like a Comic-Con they did like in the side of the town. And at some point, somebody just kind of went insane and they started putting like stands all around, like in the city. Like, so the whole city becomes the Comic-Con essentially.
So this is still happening every year.
It still happens every year.
Okay.
It sucks. It sucks. It's terrible. This is not. We're not here to talk about this.
Okay.
I'm just gonna like open close parentheses. It's like it's a terrible Comic-Con because it's organized terribly. That's all I'm gonna say on the matter. But apparently they used to have like a cinema school or something, and David Lynch like often went to this town. Which, to be honest, having watched Twin Peaks and having grown up in that town, I can safely say the similarities were there. So, human cases did run amok in that town. So, maybe they did. He did was like, oh yeah, I can see like Twin Peaks being set in Tuscany for some reason. We didn't have the diners though, so that's the only problem. That's an American thing, apparently.
Yeah.
And the coffee will have been a lot better.
The coffee would have been, honestly, Lucca is a very strange town because it has bars. For context, in Italy, bars, it's where they serve coffee.
Yeah.
Just making sure, because I know that like there's like
not everybody knows. Yeah.
No, yeah. So there's just 100 of those. So you could get like every street has like 3 bars. 4. So maybe. Never get American coffee. Worst thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. We do have Gray. We do have an unfortunate habit on this episode. Whenever we have someone in from America, something gets maligned. Last time I think it was American cheese. This time it's going to be Americanos and Starbucks. So
not what?
Well, as the resident American here today. American cheese is only plastic, so I agree with you.
Okay.
And American coffee is horrible. Starbucks was a mistake. I don't know how that happened.
Still is.
I had earlier my owl cup. The owls are not what it seems. I used to have an R&R restaurant, but I don't know what happened to it. But I was drinking coffees black as midnight on a moonless night while we were here. But it is Colombian coffee. American coffee is horrible.
Yes.
Too much sugar. It's disgusting.
I get my coffee from a cousin in Italy.
Disgusting.
I get my mother to go buy it to his store and send it to me in like
serious?
a pack. Yes, because
I love it.
the only because I use like the classic mocha, like the Italian one. And the only good coffee I found in London, like the actual Italian coffees, this is my local train station. Has this, for some reason, has the best coffee in London. Which I think
normally
is
how things go.
It's a
though.
hidden gem.
You find like the strangest place at the back of a Italian restaurant somewhere. They have like a coffee pot that just brews the best coffee ever, and they don't even sell it to anybody. They just have that there for the workers.
Yeah, no, it is this is the classic kind of thing that happens on like if you want to like good street food, but this is like, street food, street drinks, you gotta go for like,
Mm-hmm. That's because we're all living in a David Lynch film.
Yeah.
I think we're living in the boring part of RoboCop.
It's coming true.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're living in a anti-capitalist novella.
Mm.
It's the worst.
Yeah, yeah, it
Sometimes,
is. It is grim, and if one thing that David Lynch has always successfully done, he'll take you out of your normal life for whatever the 2 hours you're watching it. He will take you somewhere else, and you will forget the rest of your life. He might take you to a much worse place. He might take you to a much better place, but he will remove you from your surroundings and immerse you in what he's created successfully, repeatedly, every time I've seen him.
I mean, to be fair, if you watch like stuff like Mulholland Drive, you can say like, I'm glad I'm not that guy. Stuff like that when watching it. So,
Oh yeah.
I get it.
It might also cause that you will never eat chickens again. I don't know.
I'm vegetarian, so this
Oh, no.
problem really doesn't.
Oh, yeah, I'm not there yet. Yeah, but I might take a break from chicken. I don't know.
So, let me check
Oh.
if David Lynch have done something with fish.
He done something with the plants. I don't know, maybe this is something we need to try, like no pots, just.
I like the idea of it.
Yeah, we should just have like dirt and plants around the house.
There was a fish in the percolator. They did this stuff with fish, yeah. Coffee.
It did.
Don't drink the coffee because there was a fish in the percolator.
Good.
Diane, please remind me not to drink coffee again.
Do you know what? I kind of was having a bet with myself there as to how long it would take you to come up with a reference to fish, Gray. I thought, if anyone knows here,
as soon as you said
did
fish,
he
I was
do
like,
reference
okay.
to fish?
I gave it to you on a silver platter, like, here's your joke, mister, sir, or whatever.
Mr. Sir is amazing. I love that.
You could spend a whole episode of a 2-hour episode just discussing any one of the Twin Peaks episodes alone.
I could talk for days just about the pilot.
Just about the pilot?
Yeah, just the pilot. I would even talk about Fire Walk with Me.
Look, consider this. Right now on YouTube, long video essays are very in right now. If you ever want to throw your hat or beanie in this case, because you have it, in the
Thank you.
in the ring, I can edit videos. So
Maybe we'll make a thing.
we can make a 4 hours long David Lynch video, and it's just me and you staring at each other like this in a web call.
I would 100%
It would be
watch
just like
that while
what did
going to
Jack
sleep.
do.
What'd you say?
I would 100% watch that while going to sleep.
It'll lull him right to sleep, listening
And I can
coffee escapades of Dale Cooper.
In the middle of this video, we should put like any one of us that would just scream, "Wake up!" and then just at the 2 hours mark, or like a random 15 minutes in or something.
Just fucking Serge Tankian from Chop Suey. Just fucking like, wake up!
Why'd you leave the keys upon the table?
Grab a brush and put on a little makeup, for God's sake.
And who is eating seeds?
Oh yeah, I love eating seeds as a pastime activity.
We need seeds. Okay.
I think we
cry.
have angels deserve to die. So to be fair,
Fuck's sake. What have I
We have
started?
devolved so far. So the thing about David Lynch is...
The thing about David Lynch is apparently System of a Down.
makes sense. I think it makes sense in a way.
He would want this.
It would want.
I think he would understand.
Lithos, you have to keep all of this in.
If there was any musical equivalent to David Lynch, I would go Captain Beefheart, just in terms of absolute, fucking weirdness and what the fuck was that about? Why are all musicians in your band playing a different fucking tune and rhythm?
I
Isn't
think
that just Tool?
while you're yes, oh god, yes,
Tool
it
catching
is.
strays.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
No, I don't like Tool. I just think it's funny that they were just catching strays. They were just passing by, and they were like, "What the fuck with you?"
Look, they chose to play in 16/9 signature or whatever the fuck.
I think the Lynchian, the most Lynchian thing I've seen in my life, not done by David Lynch. It would be I mentioned him before, the Eric Andre show. I don't know if you ever seen it. It's insane. That's the only way I can put it. Like and the funniest thing about this show is like it's like a talk show kind of, and the people that are brought into the show, they don't know what's gonna happen. And the weirdest shit start happening. That's all I'm gonna say. If you can track it down, watch it. I'm just gonna say that the highest cost of that series is the legal cost. For if you don't like pranks on the streets, don't watch it. But like if you do, like if you're fine with it, like it's a mix of things.
I just looked that up because I thought that name rings a bell, and I've just seen the images that have come up on Google, and yes, I did. I watched one episode of the Eric Andre show and I went, oh, okay, I might watch another episode at some point, but I'm not quite fucking sure what went on there.
They do in that show, there is a very good Twin Peaks reference. Like, it was during one of the opening segments. Eric Andre just kind of shoots his co-host. And then he turns to the camera and he goes like, "Who killed Hannibal?" And then the Twin Peaks music style starts to play. I think that's very funny. Otherwise, there's something else I wanted to say. God damn it, I forgot.
Who did kill Laura Palmer?
What?
Who did kill Laura Palmer?
Who did? That's the question.
Who did that?
Did they give you an answer in the show?
Who did? Technically, yes, 100%, and it wasn't supposed to happen.
Was it the monkey?
That's why the show got canceled. I can't tell you that. You got to watch it.
It was the monkey. It was that's why that. Oh, that all makes sense.
What did Jack do?
That's what he did. He killed Laura.
Jack killed Laura Palmer.
The David Lynch cinematic universe.
Fun fact: they didn't have an answer when they wrote the show. Like the whole point of the Laura Palmer's death was only supposed to get Dale Cooper in town. That was it. You were never supposed to know. And Bob Iger, I don't know if you know who that is.
Oh, fuck. Fuck that guy.
He's just got one of those faces. Disney's CEO, I think he still is. He was in charge of ABC at the time, and he was like, listen, you guys need to, come on. Everybody wants to know who killed her. So they made him do it. They wrote in the show an answer, and it was so disjointed that people just, like, at that point, like, they were like, oh, well, I guess now I know. I don't have to watch anymore, and people stopped watching. And that's why the show got canceled, because people stopped paying attention to it. And they moved all the time slots around because they didn't know what to do with it. But still, like, the point is that you're not supposed to know who killed Laura Palmer.
What? An executive killed Twin Peaks or something that people actually liked? What a surprise. I would never expected that. Oh my God, that never happens. What?
Exactly. It was a phenomenon in America at the time. That was like, it was the soap operas were really popular at the time. And that this was like the one that everybody talked about and watched.
I think
so. It was a huge thing.
Twin Peaks is kind of like to soap operas what Blazing Saddles was to the Western genre. Really, If you think about like a deconstruction to the point that it's done such in a way that makes something else, and at the same time kind of makes the genre almost obsolete.
Mm-hmm. It was parodying itself very much so.
Yeah,
it was just making fun of.
That's what's great about it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I finally remembered. God, I don't know if any of you watch wrestling. But believe me, I'm going somewhere with this. At the beginning of the pandemic, they still haven't figured out a way to make it palatable for audiences. So they did this kind of couple of episodes that were like no people in the arena. So there was like this scene of Stone Cold Steve Austin where, he's accustomed to having like people react to things. So he goes like, "Can I have a hell yeah?" And then he goes like, and then there's a shot of like the empty chairs. And then he goes like, "Can I have a?" And there's just silence. And I think that's very Twin Peaks as well, of Lynch in general. Probably not done it on purpose.
Just got a mental image there of two all-in wrestlers doing their showpiece fake moves in front of an entirely empty auditorium with no noises other than them slapping down on the board. And I thought, yeah, that is David Lynch. He might put a background drone on it, but yes.
Yeah, I can imagine like this, like, I don't know, the wrestlers, The Rock and John Cena just going at each other, and they're like, just in the background. You should, if you do it, edit this out. But if you don't do it, leave this in. You should put like, actually leave it in, even if you do it. Put a little like noise in the background of the whole podcast. I think that would be very funny.
Just add the hum from Eraserhead.
Yeah, just on like minus 47 decibels, just very faintly.
That you can barely hear it.
Can I request a sound? I want at some point just a faint door knock, just all the way to the left, please.
Oh, no, do you know the fire alarm? The fire alarm.
Yes. Or like a car alarm, something, yeah.
I was listening to a friend's audio the other day, and he had the fire alarm go off. And then I literally had to re-listen to the audio again. I was like, was it mine? I just changed the batteries.
or at some point...
Massive quantities. My socks are on fire.
Oh, please. That would be so funny.
You should make it so like we're talking to him at some point.
We should just record this entire thing as if we were talking like Gordon Cole. Just really loud.
Yes. Yes, so...
Isn't that right, David Lynch?
So, that's great!
Oh my god.
Wow,
right.
This'll knock your socks off.
This is going to be the most difficult podcast you've ever edited.
Just don't edit it. Just put it completely raw, except for the random knocks and F notes throughout the entire thing.
I think it's not like I used to have a podcast myself. I remember once I trimmed down a 3 hours episode into like 2 hours, and I should have just posted the 3 hours on it. I feel I should have just done that.
Oh dear, I can't submit people to that. No, I've got to. I'll get it down to, and I'll try something interesting. You
know what you should do? You should grab some melange and just do it at this point. The fact that you're not telling us is very cool, because so we have to listen to the thing again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you bloody well have to. I'll have to listen to this fucker at least 3 times. Once now, then in the edit, and then after I've done the transcription, go through it again and correct the AI auto transcription bollockry that came out of it. So you fuckers can listen to it.
How you doing? Hi, editing lighters. Hi.
Yeah.
Wait, do you go through and transcript everything into text?
No, I put it through an AI transcription, but
you have to fix
AI.
it if it messes up.
Yeah, and obviously when several people talk at the same time, it fucking misidentifies who's talking. It misinterprets some words. It misinterprets names. It's AI, as AI is, a crock of shite, but slightly better than the previous crock of shite.
Is this going to be edited out? This part. So if I just started saying random words like Fridge, Barn, Crockett, Bonk, Bishneer, Pen.
Hey, I
Train
said that.
I
I don't make mistakes.
My mischievous.
It's just going to say unintelligible.
Unintelligible. My mischievous brain kind of wants to speak in Italian and see what's gonna happen to the to the AI if it picks it
give
up.
it a go. Give it a go. Lay down some Dante.
Some Dante. Okay, let me put up some Dante.
La
here.
donne mobile.
So let me read some Divina Commedia. Oh my god! I love
That's
that.
what it says on the trains by the window.
I love that you were like talking like music, lyric opera, so like literature classic, and you're like, you can't lean. Please don't lean outside.
Yes.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
I was gonna say, is exactly like
That
people
was
like
so
said
fucking good.
Please mind the gap between the.
Mind the gap.
Oh,
This
dear.
train terminates at Cockfosters.
Not cockfosters. I have this joke with one of my friends, and I was like, if you keep going this, I'm gonna leave you at Pimlico, and I don't know why.
I might actually, for this episode, just do one of those things that they do on tracks when they keep going and they can't figure out an ending. You just do a fade out.
Yeah, for like 15-minute fade out.
Can we do a laughter, like, or everybody laughing and then freeze frame?
Oh yes, and it just plays like a single guitar strum.
Everybody just jumps at the same time, the fist in the air, and then it just waves. Right there. End in Minecraft. I'm sorry.
Well,
Sorry.
it's all right. Well, thank you very much for listening to this episode, which kind of went off on a tangent, as you would expect from the subject matter and the participants. Satanism is disorganized, as are we. David Lynch, I believe, was very organised. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, and it's goodbye, and hail Satan from me, Lithos, and from Gray in the US.
Ooh, hail Kyle McLaughlin. Go look him up. Look him on TikTok. It's incredible. Don't stop. Consume it all. Watch him dance in a hot dog suit. And hail Satan.
And from Kylar.
Bye, everybody. Hail Satan or Weird Yankovic, whichever first.
And from Ligeia.
Hail Satan, everybody! I can't speak anymore.
And Bohema.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan, and speak to you soon, dear fellow weird people.
Everyone.